Hi everyone, welcome back to the final video of the group stages of this 2018 World Cup. So I'm just going to go through the final round of fixtures, see how the groups finished and see who's going to be playing each other in the next round for the teams that did get through to the next round. So starting off we had Uruguay versus Russia, which turned out to be a very easy win for Uruguay. In the end, 3-0 showed where the Russians had done quite well against some of the smaller nations in their group when they come across someone who kind of had a bit of pedigree. And considering this game didn't really matter because both teams were already through, Uruguay won it easily. So kind of shows where Russia are really. Everyone's getting a bit excited, but shows they're not the best team in the world. And then the other game was Saudi Arabia 2, Egypt 1, a nothing game. It was okay. Again, Mo Salah got his goal, but you can tell they weren't fit. But it was a game that neither team really mattered. Just a bit of pride really. And Saudi Arabia ended up getting that. So Uruguay won the group, as I thought they probably would do. Russia come second again, same as I thought. And then it was Saudi Arabia, then Egypt. Right, so moving on to Group B now. This was the Spain and Portugal group. This game, the last day, had a lot riding on it. Iran could have made it through, as well as Spain and Portugal weren't completely safe of guaranteed of getting a round of 16 spot. So there was a lot riding on both games in this one, which kind of made it a little bit more interesting. Spain and Morocco ended up drawing 2-2, and it was a crazy game. There was some terrible defending from Spain. The first goal, especially with Ramos and Iniesta trying to pass it between the two of them, mucked it up. Morocco player stole in, ran through on goal, scored, made it 1-0 to Morocco, and it was all the big shock that was on the cards. And then they equalised, and then Morocco scored another goal with a bullet header from a corner against some poor defending. Just rose up above everyone and headed it into the corner. And then we had some VAR controversy at the end, which I think got it right in the end. Corner comes in for Spain. It was a bit of a deflection around the box. Spanish defender sticks it in the goal, runs off celebrating. Linesman gives offside, and when we saw the replays, we turned out no, it wasn't offside. Referee goes to the box, checks it, confirms the goal, 100% correct. VAR again, kind of showing that it can get the big decisions right, because that would have been harsh on Spain not to get the goal there. But then in the Portugal game, this is when it kind of, I don't think it's worked. I think this is kind of one of its negative points. Portugal were winning 1-0. And it was a great goal by Casemiro, just outside the book, bang, top corner, fantastic goal. Then Ronaldo actually missed a penalty later on down the line, and then Iran were awarded a penalty, and I don't think it should have been. I think the cross came in, Iran defender headed it downwards, hit the Portuguese defender on the arm, but there's no way he could have seen it. He was trying to jump, and it just kind of it was about that far away, and I don't think that's a penalty. I think that's very, very harsh on Portugal. The referee even looked at VAR and then still gave the penalty, which I think it was wrong. Morocco scored the penalty, but it didn't overall matter in terms of the group, because that put Spain and Portugal back in level terms. There was a moment that Iran was going to score again, but luckily they didn't. Otherwise it would have been real controversy if this decision would have led to Portugal going out. I think there would have been a chaos. So luckily it didn't turn out that way. So Spain topped the group, Portugal come second, and then it was Iran and then Morocco bottom of the group. So moving on to Group C, this was the France group, where there was some connotations where if Denmark had lost to France, Australia could have got through. But in all fairness, this was a bit of a kind of, Denmark knew they needed the draw, especially once Australia were losing to Peru, which I'm glad Peru won. I kind of backed them as a dark horse, didn't quite work out that way, but I'm glad they got the victory, because good side Peru, and that kit they got is lovely. I think it's great. And in the French game, this was our first 0-0 of the entire tournament so far, which is good going, but this was both teams knew. France were already through. They were draw would make them top the group. Denmark didn't look like they were going to press that much, and especially once the word probably got through that Australia were losing, that was it for them really. It was just passing, and no one really kind of went for the win, which was a bit disappointing really, because it was just, wasted 90 minutes. I could have been doing anything else there. So in this one, obviously France topped the group, Denmark second, then it's Peru, then it's Australia. Now moving on to Group D, this was the Argentina group. Again, this was another sort of last game, really there was a lot riding on it, because there was a very strong possibility Argentina could be going out of the tournament at this one. So we had the Croatia and Iceland game, which Croatia won 2-1, and Croatia won the group quite handsomely. I think they deserved it. They've been the best team within this group, one of the best teams of the tournament so far. And in the Argentina game between Nigeria, this just was all over the show. So Messi scored quite early on. It was a good goal as well. Trip through some defenders and stuck it in the top corner. Standard Messi sort of goal. And then Nigeria got a penalty well deserved, because it was definitely a foul. Mascherano just wrestling his defender to the ground, which you can't do, especially in this World Cup now with all the VAR stuff going on. They scored it, and then it was just end to end. There was so much going on, and you really thought that Argentina just seemed they'd run out of steam. They threw on Aguero, they threw on Di Maria, they was just throwing everything they could at Nigeria. They just couldn't seem to break them down. And at this point, because the draw was good enough for Nigeria to go through, especially with Iceland losing. So we all thought, this is it, Argentina's out. And then I think it's the 89th minute, or maybe slightly later, Marcus Rojo, of all people, volleys a great volley into the bottom corner, puts Argentina through, everything erupts. Maradona was maybe a little bit out of it by this point. You could see him swearing and stuff on the camera. Fans apparently taken to hospital after the game, so hopefully he's okay. But yeah, this game was just intense. Another one of those last minute winners that we've seen quite a lot of in this World Cup, which kind of really keeps it entertaining. It means if you get in a drab game, you have to watch it to the end, because there's every chance you're going to get one of these late goals, and the whole place just erupted. And luckily put Argentina through for their sake. That kind of stops them going back out of the group stage, which would look really bad on the Argentinian football overall, because they've always seemed to do well at World Cups, but they've just, this year they've not really got it. So they've got through just. See what they do in the next round. So now moving on to Group E. This is the one I really was looking forward to talking about. So this is the one where Germany finished bottom of their group. It followed the trend of the last few winners, be it France, be it Italy, them, as well as Spain. All of them have gone out in the group stages of the World Cup prior to them winning. The only team that hasn't done that recently was 2002's winners, Brazil. All the last European winners have all gone out to the group stage at the following World Cup, but Germany are no exception to that rule now. So on this, again, this was really sort of all over the show. Korea, there was some connotations, but they're unlikely to go through. Mexico lost 3-0 to Sweden, which was very unlike them, because they had played so well so far in this tournament, and they got thumped by Sweden. Sweden obviously coming off the back of that last minute loss to Germany, which you could think they may have dented the confidence, but they seem to overcome that really well. And then winning obviously meant Korea couldn't get through, but also Germany then had to beat Korea. I had to draw at least with Korea to get no, they had to win, didn't they, to get through to the next round. And they didn't. They lost handsomely, which I quite enjoyed. Germany didn't have anything. They just seemed really slow in their build up. They had a few chances towards the end, obviously, as they really knew they really had to score, but they didn't really show it. Germany, they kind of really looked really laboured, and luckily maybe Joachim Löw was putting a lot of trust in the team that had won it in 4 years ago. But it's not like a championship team will win it 1 year and then go to the next year. They're 4 years apart. World Cups players do decrease within that sort of time. And you look at the players that didn't take, like Sane from Man City was probably their bigger mission, that he could have done quite a lot of this sort of World Cup. He's a very fast, skillful, creative player, and I think playing in this World Cup he could have, maybe not won, but he could have got on a point here or there, especially against maybe Mexico, because he's the sort of player that they can't really see the defend against. But Korea took the lead again. This was another VAR controversy. Again, it was correct decision. Goal was scored and then given offside, and then looking back on it, it wasn't, so it was overturned to a goal again, which was correct. And then right at the end, Neuer was basically playing as a midfielder, got tackled, Korea went straight through, scored in the empty goal, made it 2-0. They all went crazy, although they knew probably by then that they weren't going through themselves. But I think it's just that sort of nation beating a team like Germany meant a lot to them, and where did Germany go from here? Everyone was lauding them 4 years ago. Now, not so much. I know the German press take these World Cups very seriously, so I know they're going to get a huge pasting in their press when they get home. So we might see a managerial change. You'll probably see a lot of new faces by the time the next Euros probably show up in the German squad, and especially by the next World Cup, the majority of that team probably won't be there next time round. So Germany are at bottom of their group. If anyone had a bet on this, they would have made a lot of money, but I can't see many people doing that. So moving on, this was Brazil's group, Group F. They beat Serbia 2-0. Again, it was kind of a nothing game. There was a small chance that Brazil could have gone out. You can imagine if we had Brazil and Germany go out in the same day, let alone in the same tournament, but wasn't to be. Brazil made it look kind of easy. Serbia didn't really have a lot going. And then in this Switzerland game, it was a 2-2 draw with Costa Rica, which puts Brazil top of the group, which we all kind of thought they probably would do. Then it's Switzerland, then Serbia, then Costa Rica. Not a lot to say about this one. There's not a lot going on in either game, really. Then in Group H, yes, I'll do England's group last. So in Group H, we had Japan versus Poland and Senegal versus Colombia. Now this one did have a lot riding on the last day because Poland were already out, but Japan, Colombia and Senegal all could have qualified on the last day. So Japan actually lost 1-0 to Poland, but that didn't actually matter because Colombia beat Senegal, and that basically what that means is Senegal lose out due to having one more yellow card than Japan, which is extremely harsh, but you have to find ways because there's only a few games, teams only play each other sort of once and there's only 3 games. There's going to be connotations where teams are going to be almost dead level in terms of points, with goal difference, goal scored, goals against, so you need to find ways to change it and then kind of add definitive rankings. And fair play was probably something they never thought would come down to this close, but to lose out onto one yellow card is harsh on Senegal, because I thought they did play well quite well in this tournament. In the Colombia game, not so much. I think they were looking to play for the draw, and then obviously when Poland had scored and were beating Japan, that was no good for them. They then needed to try and get the goal when Colombia scored, which really kind of put them on the back foot, and then they threw on a few strikers, Sacco, ex-West Ham player, but they didn't. By that point, the game was already done and they had lost out, so Colombia got through to the next round, as well as Japan in this one. Finally, England's group, which we ended up losing 1-0 to Belgium in our last game. There was a lot of changes from both sides. England made 8 changes, Belgium made 9, so it was very much the kind of B teams of both teams. So maybe not a true reflection on the full power of either side, and it was a bit of a sort of drab game. Again, both teams were already through by this point, and it was a weird one because with Germany going out, there was kind of one side of the draw which is slightly more favourable of making it later in the rounds than the other side, and I think both teams were kind of trying not to win the group, because if you win the group, there's a possibility that if you get through to a round of 16, you end up playing Brazil in the quarterfinals, which in the other side, I think it's Colombia that we end up going to facing. So it was potentially Sweden or Switzerland in the quarterfinal if we get through Colombia. So neither team, I think, will go in. We're kind of looking at it as if we win, great, we top the group, it's good for sort of team morale, but if we lose, there is that kind of little bonus that side of the draw is easier, as some people might suggest. But again, there wasn't a lot. It's a good goal by Januzaj. There's a funny thing with Batshuayi kicking the ball in his own face in the goal. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's everywhere by now. And there was a sort of a comeback from England. Rashford had a really good chance. He really should have scored. He was through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper and he put it wide. They say the goalkeeper touched it. I don't think he really did. I think he did put it wide. So he should have scored that. But other than that, there wasn't much. But overall, I'm kind of happy with in the other game, since it beat Panama 2-1, whatever. Overall, I'm quite happy with where England are in the tournament so far. Obviously, we had 2 really positive games. I think the Tuesday game was a tough team to break down, and we did it. We kind of kept going to the end, got our last minute sort of winner. Panama game we made easy work off, but those sort of things we should be making easy work off. So it wasn't a game that we struggled to win. We won confidently, and it kind of probably put a lot of confidence in the players. The Belgian game was always going to be a if-buts, but with the changes, I don't think it's a true reflection on either team. If both teams were full strength and played and were playing for a game that you had to win, it would be a very different game. It would be very, very different results. So I don't think you can really judge England or Belgium on this game alone. So obviously that's all the groups concluded. Belgium win the group, England come second, which is maybe kind of what we wanted. Originally, it's hard to judge. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. I look forward to my review of the round of 16 games once they're all finished and how we're going to get on with that. And I'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe.